Trump's ambassador just dropped a bomb on Canada. Threats, double standards, and shocking demand for loyalty. What he said in this interview would change everything you thought you knew about US Canada relations. Now, last month, Politico published an interview with the US ambassador to Canada, Pete Hoekstra. It offered the most direct insight yet into how the Trump administration plans to handle its relationship with Canada. From tariffs to annexation talk to ambiguous trade demands, what we're seeing isn't just strained diplomacy, it's the steady erosion of a long-standing strategic alliance. Today we'll examine where the relationship stands, what Ambassador Hoekstra's comments reveal, and the high-stakes choices Canada now faces. For decades, the U.S. Canada relationship was defined by stability, a robust bilateral trade relationship, mutual defense cooperation under NORAD, and a shared set of democratic values. That dynamic changed sharply during Trump's first term. Trump unilaterally imposed tariffs on Canadian aluminium and steel in 2018 under the pretext of national security. He mocked Canadian leadership, labeling former Prime Minister Justin Trudeau weak and referring to him as though he was a subordinate US state official. And in what could be interpreted as an aggressive rhetorical move, he suggested Canada might be better off becoming the 51st state of the United States. These weren't just off-the-cuff remarks. They were accompanied by policy measures with material consequences: economic, political, and symbolic. Canada responded by electing a new government. The MAGA-aligned Conservative leader Pierre Poilievre was rejected in favour of a Liberal resurgence under Mark Carney, a former Bank of Canada and Bank of England governor known for his international credibility and measured leadership. In their first Oval Office meeting, Carney and Trump attempted to lower the temperature. Reports describe the meeting as successful, which in today's political lexicon simply means it didn't result in an open conflict. Carney reportedly shut down annexation talk with a firm "never ever." Trump responded with a cryptic "never say never." While the moment was framed as humor, its underlying ambiguity is telling. Trump did not disavow the idea, and more importantly, the tariffs remain in place. A tangible reminder that the US still views economic leverage as a tool of coercion. Between US and Canada, it's not peace, it's a pause, one that leaves Canada still under economic pressure and facing a trade regime that is deeply unpredictable. The tariffs imposed under Trump weren't purely economic, they were strategic in intent. By targeting Canadian exports like steel, aluminium, and softwood lumber, the administration signaled that even the most trusted US allies are not exempt from the America First agenda. This has profound implications. Canada has always been heavily reliant on the US for trade. Over 70% of Canadian exports go to the United States, but the Trump era has exposed the inherent vulnerability in that dependence. Hey, if you're getting value from this, go ahead and hit that subscribe button so you don't miss out on the next one. It really helps the channel. Of course, Mark Carney campaigned in part on reducing that exposure to the US, diversifying trade relationships, increasing ties with the EU, the Indo-Pacific, and Latin America. But here's the catch. Ambassador Hoekstra made it clear in the Politico interview that such a move would be viewed unfavorably by the United States. He implied that Canada must choose between two paths: demonstrating loyalty to the US relationship in exchange for potential trade relief, or pursuing diversification and risking further penalties. In other words, Canada can have economic sovereignty or a good deal from the US, not both. Perhaps the most troubling aspect of the interview was not the rhetoric, but the lack of substance. Ambassador Hoekstra said that Carney must submit a proposal for a new economic and security framework, but offered no criteria, no priorities, and no strategic objectives. Just a vague sorting mechanism. If the proposal is serious, it gets considered. If not, it's straight in the bin. This channel is growing really well, and we're building a fantastic community of democratic people who are very much against the BS that Trump comes out with day in, day out. I break down complex topics like this every week, so if you want more clear, no BS breakdowns, subscribe and turn on notifications. Now, between Canada and US, this is not diplomacy, especially on the US side. This is arbitrary power exercised without transparency, and is fundamentally asymmetrical. Canada is being asked to guess what the Trump administration wants, tailor a proposal to fit an undefined expectation, and hope that it aligns with a worldview that's often shaped by misinformation, like Trump's recurring incorrect claim that the US subsidizing Canada by $200 billion a year, when in reality that's just the value of imports from Canada. The ambassador's remarks must be understood in the broader context of US credibility on the global stage. Allies have long relied on the consistency and rationality of the US foreign policy. However, under Trump, that consistency evaporates. Long-standing alliances are questioned. Trade norms are replaced by protectionism, and negotiation becomes coercion without rules. So when Hoekstra says, "Show us you care about this relationship, show us you see America as a reliable partner," the irony is stark. Because in the eyes of many Canadians and increasingly global allies, America no longer appears to be that reliable partner, not when one election can throw an entire economic system into uncertainty, not when trade policies can be changed on a whim based on false narratives and enforced through punishment. So, what are the real choices ahead for Canada? Option one, of course, is to attempt to appease Trump's administration with a bespoke proposal that flatters American ego, sustains trade access, and subordinates Canadian autonomy for the sake of short-term economic stability. Option two is commit to long-term economic diversification, deepen strategic relationships beyond the US, and accept the short-term costs of reshaping supply chains and trade routes in exchange for long-term independence. Neither option is easy, but only one builds resilience. Ambassador Hoekstra's remarks confirm that many in Ottawa already understand the U.S. Canada relationship under Trump is no longer anchored in mutual respect. It is conditional, transactional, and increasingly unpredictable. Canada has a choice: navigate this uncertainty with pragmatism and vision, or remain perpetually vulnerable to the whims of its most powerful neighbour. Let me know in the comments, should Canada double down on rebuilding ties with the US under Trump, or is it time to shift its economic strategy decisively elsewhere? If you made it this far, you clearly care about Canada and geopolitics, so why not subscribe? It helps the channel and it keeps you in the loop. I'll see you in the next one.